from a secret underground bunker somewhere in the Arizona desert, 40 feet below the Earth's surface. Two men, aided by their robotic artificial intelligence, Jennifer,
Jennifer, at your service.
hide from their wives and kids to discuss man stuff with interesting and unusual people. These men are the Bunker Boys. Well, like it or not, we are the Bunker Boys.
Yeah, we are. Well, at least we're not the flunker boys.
Yeah, or the unemployed boys.
Right.
But hey, we've got a great show lined up for you today. I placed an ad in the Craigslist online magazine, or whatever you call that, and asked for people that had interesting stories to tell to email us. Got a couple of emails. We've got a gentleman that's got a ghost story that's pretty interesting, so I hope you'll be entertained by that. So you're going to be either scared out of your wits or entertained, one of the two.
Probably a little bit of both.
So how have you been?
I've been all right.
Yeah. You getting stuff done?
Mm-hmm. I was working around the house this morning.
Yeah, I love the way you rocked that whole area over there around your house. It looks wonderful.
Yeah, I need one more load. Thank you.
Yeah, nice job.
Thanks for. Oh well, you didn't help. Your wife helped.
Yep,
rake.
she did. She's the good little raker. She works hard. She works harder than any three people I know. So.
But you actually did help me. You came over and we cut some wood and got that out of the way.
Yeah. So you had a little get together with the family.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
The grandkids came over and the nephew.
It's the first time I've met the grandkids.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. They're cute kids. I can see your grandson's a little handful.
Oh, yes. Yes, he is.
But he's a neat little guy.
Grandma was getting upset with him.
And the two girls are just little angels. They're fun. I hope to have grandkids someday.
Those are his cousins, the two little girls.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. So, Jennifer, are you hanging around?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad to see you're there. Without her, nothing runs. So we have to keep her oiled and lubed.
Yeah.
That sounded worse than I intended.
Keep her up.
Yeah, right.
You're giving me a headache.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, that's typical. We do that for you. So what do you think of the ghost stories, Jen?
Interesting.
They are interesting.
Very interesting.
I think you're going to be intrigued when you hear some of the stuff that Jeff has to say. In the news, a young man did something with modern technology that he couldn't have done by just going to the library. And it's kind of, it gave me new hope in today's youth. This kid was really interested in the Mayan culture and the pyramids down in South America. So what he did was, he knew that the Mayans were heavy into the stars, and he wondered if maybe the pyramids they built down there lined up with some of the star maps. So he found out that in fact they did, because they were a star culture. They kind of follow the stars, planted by the stars, and their gods supposedly came from the stars.
Where is this?
This is a young man from Canada, and he was just studying the Mayan culture and the pyramids.
The Mayans, okay.
Yeah, right. And he's been fascinated with them since he was wee little. Well, he's 15 now, and for the last 3 years, he's been doing research on the stars and do they all line up with the pyramids down there. Well, he found out that there were a few stars in some of the major constellations that did not have any pyramid built by them, or at least he didn't know of any. And he thought, well, if they're a star culture, maybe those stars line up with some pyramids they haven't discovered yet. So he thought, maybe I could discover one. So what he did was he overlaid Google Maps with the star chart that he found online. And when he did, he found out there was a spot that didn't have a pyramid, and he zoomed in on it, and he could see from Google Earth that there was some sort of man-made structure in the jungle. So he thought, maybe this is a pyramid. So the Canadian Space Agency gets involved. They train their satellite telescopes on this area, on the coordinates where he thought this pyramid should be. And they zoom in, and sure enough, you can see a square structure there. You can't see a lot of detail, but they're going to try to send somebody in there to take a look at it. And this young man's name is William Goodry from Canada. 15 years old. He says, I was really surprised and excited when I realized that the most brilliant stars of the constellations matched the largest Mayan cities. So he's got a discovery to his name at 15 years old.
That's pretty cool.
In the thick jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula. So he named the city, or the little pyramid city that he found, Kayak Chi. It means fire mouth. I don't know why he named it fire mouth, but he said he hopes to one day see the ruins with his own eyes.
I hope he does too.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
He sure does. That's kind of a cool thing. And with modern technology, he was able to discover that from his bedroom.
That's pretty cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yep.
Anything in the news that you've heard recently that... Okay, normally I don't interrupt the show when I get a text, but I just got this text, and it's from my friend Bill that we interviewed not too long ago. And he says that his dog has been bad. Remember, he asked us to pray for his dog, and that she had some health issues. And he says that he had lost all faith in vets because they didn't know how to help her. So he says he was looking and researching some things online about holistic dog food. So he said, I changed Sasha's diet, tried creating some food that I found online. 3 days later, she's back to normal after 3 years of problems.
Isn't that something?
That's crazy.
Sounds like the doctors nowadays, though.
I think we need to call him.
Well, listen to this story.
Okay.
One of my friends at work, Lupe, he was getting bad stomach pains and everything.
Yeah.
He thought he was getting an ulcer. So he goes to the doctors, Oh, no, can't really see nothing. Might be this or might be that. Could be this, could be that. Went to another doctor. They checked him out. Well, we really don't know. It might be an ulcer or, They were telling him all different kinds of things. And he was going through it. He'd have to take half days off from work so he could go home and relax,
Wow.
It was hurting him so bad. So anyway, this is, about probably 2 or 3 months go by like that. And then sometimes he didn't even come into work. And he got so bad that he was just bedridden or couch ridden, He just had to lay down all day, losing weight and everything. He's a small guy anyways. Mm-hmm. Losing weight and everything else. So that went on for a few months. So I was talking to him. I called him on the phone one day, and he goes, yeah, I'm going up to Idaho, up to my mom and dad's house, and go stay with them for a few weeks, and so I don't put a big burden on my girlfriend, because he wasn't doing any work, no income coming in or nothing, So he goes up to Idaho and finds a homeopathic doctor. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what he said. He goes, change your diet. This is what you should eat every day.
Wow. And that made all the difference.
And made all the difference. He's
back to work.
Yep, back to normal.
Amazing.
Isn't that something with these doctors nowadays? They run you around everything,
I almost want to see their report card from when they were in med school.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like, and then, most of them these days are younger than me. You got a handful of doctors that are older, but most of them are young bucks, Now, that's not to say that all of them that are young are bad, because I've just dealt with a young doctor that was treating me for a skin rash, and she's been wonderful. She's very smart. Now, other guys I've run into, I have no faith at all in them.
I don't blame you.
And it just angers me. They treat you like garbage, and then you got to wait on them forever. And then, that's another sore spot. I went to one doctor, and I was going to be late. I told you this story, but I'll tell it to the audience. And I called because I was going to be about 5 minutes late, and they said, "Oh, no, we'll have to reschedule your appointment." I said, "I'm on the street. I just called off work. I have to drive an hour from work to get to your office. I'm almost there. As a courtesy, I'm calling you to let you know I'm going to be a few minutes late." "Well, no, we're going to have to reschedule." I said, "Look, when I get there, you're going to make me wait 15 minutes anyway. And that's a short wait.
That's it.
Sometimes it's 45.
Right.
I said, "I'm just letting you know I'm running a little behind and I'm going to be there." So she goes, "Well, no, we're going to have to reschedule." I said, "I'm coming. I'll be there." And I hung up. I get there, and when the doctor saw me, and he did see me, and he wasn't ready to see me, of course, until half an hour after I arrived.
See?
And I go in there, and he says, "You don't treat my girls like that." I said, "I didn't mistreat your girls. All I said was that I was coming in and I was going to be late by 5 minutes. And I was 5 minutes late. And I said, and you didn't see me for a half hour after that.
There you go.
So what's your beef?
Yep.
And he didn't like that. And I said, look, partner, I said, I waited on you. If I total up all the time I waited on you, it's a lot longer than 5 minutes that you might have had to wait on me.
Right.
I said, so don't give me that crap. My time is every bit as valuable as yours. And he didn't like it. I said, that's it. I said, just give me my prescription and I'm out of here. I never went back to that idiot again.
I don't blame you.
I'm tired of stupidity. And then, they think they're little gods. Just because you're a doctor doesn't make you a god.
No.
And it doesn't make you any better than
It
me.
just makes you richer.
Yeah, off my paycheck and,
Right,
and my
exactly.
time waiting.
I think sometimes they don't care.
No,
you know?
of course, some of them don't. They think
All they want is that money.
they're the important one. You're just the peon.
Yep.
And half of them don't know what they're doing.
They don't have any real MD doctors anymore.
Yeah,
They're
all
all
specialists
Practitioners.
or practitioners, nurse
Yeah,
practitioners.
that's horse nuts. That's ridiculous. Well, I mean, it is.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? Some of those guys know. The nurses more know more than the doctors.
Yes, I agree.
So I don't know.
I agree.
Well,
It's like my doctor. I had a real good doctor up in Williams. He was a real MD.
was he also a veterinarian?
No,
No, I'm just kidding.
but yeah, he said I had fleas one day. No. But yeah, he actually cared about you and how your health was. And he'd look at you in the eye sincerely and ask you questions and everything.
Look at you in the one eye.
In the one eye. And then when Obamacare, he quit. When that came out, he goes, Garth, I'm sorry, but I'm retiring and everything, but I would like to keep on practicing, but with this new crap that came out, I'm out of here. He says, I like talking with my patients instead of being on the computer all damn day.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they had to do. Let's try to get a hold of Bill. Let's see. Jennifer, can you give Bill a call and see if we can get him online?
Call him up, Jen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Hey, Bill.
Hello, Chris.
We got you on the show now, finally.
Hello.
Hey, so you... the audience doesn't know what we were doing just before
No,
this.
I know, whatever.
It's funny.
That's their loss.
So you found a cure for your dog.
Well, she came down with Cushing's, which is a tumor on the pituitary gland. People get this,
Yeah.
not only dogs and people.
Right.
And I spent hundreds of dollars of blood work, and it came back negative. And they wanted to do hundreds of dollars worth of more blood work to find out that if it's on her kidneys, a tumor on her adrenal glands. So I said, piss on you people. I'm one of those guys that never go to the doctor unless you're dying.
Yeah, we know those people, don't we, Garth?
Yeah, well, I watched them over-medicate my father to the point that he was so sick he died because of pills.
Wow.
So I decided to change her diet and went holistic, and within 3 days, she recovered.
Wow.
And I never seen it such a change. She's 11 years old, which she's probably 72 in dog years. Right?
Yeah. I'm trying to do the
Yeah.
math.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math here. So I decided to just go ahead and start cooking for her, so that's what I've been doing.
So what was she eating before that?
Well, she's been on kibble her whole life, all of them. I have a Yorkshire. I have a female Labrador Retriever, 6 years old. She's about 80 pounds. And Sasha is a Chow Lab Mix, and she's about 35 pounds, and she's gone to probably, I would say maybe 27 pounds. She's lost a lot of weight, but this diet I've had her on is a high-protein diet, so her adrenal glands don't pump out the steroids or what's making her sick. So
But
Yeah, I've had pretty good luck with it. Just the last 3 days, I've never seen such a change.
Well-
I'm getting all kinds of dog love.
oh, good. I'm no kidding. She probably feels
she
better
dug-
than she has.
Yes, she dug all her toys out of the toy box.
So-
All her favorite toys are all over the place. She's been playing with toys every day for the last 3-4 days. So
That's amazing.
I'm very happy. And the way I see it, every good day is just one day longer. So
That's right.
Right, exactly. So what kind of food are you feeding her, Bill?
well, it's a raw diet. I'm blanching it. It has to be a high protein diet, but she's getting broccoli, carrots, peas, and turkey, and some red meat in there or internal organs. And the main ingredient that's making her kidneys, the adrenal glands, not overproduce steroids is flaxseed hulls, and melatonin. And her symptoms were over drinking water. She would probably drink 2 or 3 gallons of water a day.
Wow.
She got to the point where she was peeing herself. She's panting a lot, and she's begging and starving. She's starving because
Wow.
of this.
Isn't that something?
And just from changing to a raw diet, a high protein diet, just within 3 days, it's gone.
That is
Now,
amazing.
this not going to cure this, but just relieve the symptoms. And I told the doctor, usually when they are diagnosed with this, they have only 2 years to live. Well, I asked the doctor to pull her records because I knew exactly when this started, and it was like 2015. So she's been sick for a very long time. She's been sick for 3 years.
And now she's all happy.
And she's all happy, and people don't realize this could actually be a kibble-induced Cushing's disease. There is such a thing. If you feed a dog the same thing their whole life, it's not a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with people,
Garth, do you have anything to add?
Well, yeah. Did you find the recipe on that online, or did somebody give it to you?
Yes, well, kind of both. I found a recipe online, and I kind of weighed it out to work for me. And the reason I did this tonight, that they went to a Pampered Chef show, my godson and his wife tonight, and they do prepared meals and put them in the freezer for the week.
That's
And
smart.
he cleaned chicken and pork tonight, and he was going to throw the scraps away, and I said, don't do that. I said, just put them in the bowl, and I'll go get some stuff to make some dog food. And I found a 30-70% high-protein diet, holistic diet online, and I kind of winged it because I put fish oil and vitamins and other stuff in it tonight. So
That's perfect. All right, well, keep us posted on how she's doing. I'm curious, and I think that's good news for people listening to the show. They can maybe find a recipe themselves online.
Right.
Good to know.
By all means.
I'm all for the supplements, and I mean, I've seen people turn around and survive cancer and stuff because they didn't listen to their doctor.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
The radiation and the chemo has nothing but poison. My dad went through that. He had throat cancer from smoking his whole life. He smoked from the time he was 7.
Wow.
And when he got 58 years old, he came down with throat cancer. Now, they didn't have to aerate, so they radiated him, and he survived. He got the cancer. But the radiation, 10 years down the line, gave him bone cancer.
Man.
So I'm just for staying the hell away from doctors, guys.
Don't
We're
blame 'em.
over-medicated. Our water that we drink, we're not going to have any because everybody pisses down the commode, and they're contaminating the water supply, and all this medication, we're ending up drinking other people's stuff, and it's going to be a bad deal.
I was shocked to hear that. They
If
say
you if you have any medicine, guys, take it in and have it disposed of. Turn it in and they will burn it. They'll incinerate it. Don't dump it down the damn toilet.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. Why can't they develop some way to clean the water if they're going to reuse it? Wouldn't you think they would filter that out too? I mean, that's
know,
crazy.
but it's so damn minute. It's almost impossible. They're having problems right now guys with the feminine wipes at these recycle water treatment plants. It says on the package that you can flush them down the commode, and they're clogging the filters at the water treatment plants. Mm-hmm. These people are, the women are wiping their hoo-haws and throwing these things down instead into the trash, and it's clogging the works up.
I heard that too.
So the hoo-haws are causing you-haws at the water plant.
Yes, you're absolutely right, and the reason we don't have bidets, did I say that right, bidet?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We were extremely pissed off at the French. We wanted nothing to do with them or the things that they did. That's the reason we don't have bidets here. And I think that's the best way. There wouldn't be no paper products. We wouldn't be burning trees up for toilet paper.
Yeah, I've never used a bidet. I don't even know how to use it, but
Well, there's actually a two-part
Very
system
carefully.
for that, guys. There's actually, if you go to Europe, you'll have to have somebody teach you or look it on YouTube how to use one. Because usually, if you stay at a motel or a hotel over there, the restroom is down the hall. You share it. Mm-hmm. And there'll be a toilet and there'll be a bidet. You take a poop and then you go and straddle this this device that's sticking out from the wall, looks like a urinal, and you clean yourself.
okay.
And the first things that kids like to do is, look, Mom, a water fountain.
No. No.
Because they've never seen such a thing.
Well, yeah, American kids would. Yeah.
So
Right.
what happens? Do you drip dry or what?
Yeah.
Yes, you just dry yourself off with a towel. You're clean. I mean, once you spray yourself down, and plus it's mobile. It's got a movable head on it, and warm water. It's heated.
How about soap?
No, there's no soap.
Well, then that ain't clean. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess you could. I mean, if it's right there by the sink, you could grab it and suds yourself.
Here, want to use my towel?
Just remember, dude, the last thing I cleaned is the first thing you clean in the shower.
I need a towel for my face. Here.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my.
The Cyberling Mansion, have you guys ever, you guys, Chris, have you ever been to the Cyberling Mansion, Stan Ewan?
Yes, I have.
Okay, well, you can imagine, if you remember their bathrooms and stuff, they had sit baths and bidets and everything that was modern in the 1920s at the time.
Uh-huh.
My grandfather and my uncle came up to visit, and we took him to Stan Hewitt, and Grandpa had to pee really bad. So he took a pee in the bidet.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ay.
You know, a lot of people don't know how to use a sit bath because, you know, if you go and look at one, the cork is in the wrong place.
Oh, jeez.
Well, that was worth a laugh. Mm-hmm. Man, hey, the phone quality is really good today.
Yeah, it is tonight, isn't it?
It's very clean. I mean, it sounds like a landline.
Yes, it does. I'm very impressed tonight for some reason. It sounds like you're sitting right here.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And it's recording really well. It looks good. Yeah.
I had such a wonderful time the last time, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a wonderful treat for me.
Oh, it's a treat for us, too, because we get to talk to somebody that's got a different experience.
Insane, yes.
Exactly.
No, insane. We love to talk to the clinically insane and
Right.
give them
That's
something to
right.
do. No, you're not insane. You're one of the sharpest guys I know, Bill.
Oh, my God. When my mind goes, guys, it's going to be amazing. Amazing.
That's funny. You know, I know if I ever need to learn something, I just call you and go, hey, how do you do this? Or what would be a good idea? And then you always give me some other idea I hadn't thought of.
I'm having a wonderful time with the 3D printer.
Oh, yeah. How's that going?
It's just absolutely the most amazing thing. I'm glad I'm not antiquated.
How
And
expensive is that?
I paid $139 for that.
That's cheap.
Yes, and I got it at Walmart. How about that?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm lying.
So how does that work? It can print only a certain size item?
Well, the table's 12-inch square, so and probably 12 inches high. So that's how big of an item that you can print.
And okay, so as long as it fits in there, it'll
And I've
print
been
it.
shoving my DNA in there, and I'm making new kidneys and liver.
I don't quite think it works that way.
Yes, it does. They make ears and they have big kidneys.
You're kidding.
Everybody's going to go
No.
out and buy them.
Do you know what a 3D printer is, Garth?
No, not really.
Tell them what it is.
Well, it uses plastic filament or DNA, and it heats it up, and it feeds it down to a nozzle, and it has 2 axes, and this thing just prints out anything you want. You can actually make, like I said, anything from human parts to, I have actually seen when Berkeley in California, the university out there first came out with a 3D printer, they were making monkey wrenches. And what's really fascinating about this, it's done. When it prints it, it's all movable. I mean, there's no machining or anything. It's a finished product.
That's amazing. So it's $139 at Walmart, huh?
Yes, that's what I paid for it.
Wow. What's the filament cost?
About $14. I don't know. It's probably there's a lot of poundage there. I never looked at the box or weighed it or anything, but it looks almost like if you're familiar with welding or anything, like a TIG or a MIG welder. It's a spool that looks like that.
Okay.
There's a lot of poundage there, so.
And can you download plans to print?
Yes, yep. You can create your own apps in a CAD program, which I need to learn, or there's like Thingiverse. You can get online and just type in what you're looking for, and if you're really lucky, there'll be a free app for it.
Wow. We need to do a show just on that. That would be fascinating.
I actually looked at one of my things I've always, on my bucket list, I've never built a clock from scratch. All the things and projects I've done, I've never built a clock, but I've always wanted to do a tower clock.
Okay.
That's like Big Ben,
Right.
and I don't know if you know what that mechanism looks like, but it's actually at the bottom of the tower, and it's probably as big as a dining room table, and it would have gears, pulleys, chains, and a drive shaft that would go up to the clock tower dial to turn the hands.
Right.
So it wouldn't be right up there, and it would chime bells or whatever, But that's one of my goals is to make one of those. I would really love to make a tower clock mechanism.
That is really cool.
That is.
Well, hey, it's great talking to you, Bill. Thanks for dropping in on the show.
Okay, thank you guys.
Okay, Bill. Have a good day.
See ya.
You too.
Here with me now is Jeff from the Phoenix area, and Jeff answered an ad that we had placed about ghost stories, and I thought it would be nice to get input from other folks outside of just Garth and myself, and ask them what their experience has been, and want to welcome Jeff to the phone. Hi, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi.
You've had some ghostly experience in your lifetime, and it started when you were a young child, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, can you start from the beginning and when you first started having this happen to you?
Yeah. When I was 5, my father died unexpectedly, and I was sleeping. I was about 7 or 8, and I felt someone pushing me to wake me up, and I looked, and there was my dad floating over me. And, of course, no one believed me until about 20 years later. I mentioned that he was in a green suit, and my mother's face just turned white. All the blood drained out of her head. Her eyes got big as saucers. She told me he had just bought a green suit and they buried him in it, and I didn't know that. It was a closed casket, and I was so little when he died. But so I'm used to this because he comes around and does a lot of things to all of our family, except they don't believe it's really him.
Interesting. What makes you think it's him? Just because you see a physical representation of him?
Yeah, I totally saw him. It was his suit. We were close. He was a great dad. I just knew it was him because he does stuff all the time. And like I said, he does things to my brother and his kids, but they don't believe it's him. But I still get signs. And I've gotten signs from other people. They say some people can sing, some people can play basketball, some people can absorb other dimensions. That's all it is.
Interesting. So I've had other discussions with other people that say that they feel that none of these things are good manifestations.
Everybody thinks if they don't understand it that it's evil, and they get scared. And they're just people. Ghosts are just people. That's all.
Yeah. See, now I'm on the side that believes, just so you know where I'm coming from, I believe that these things are demonic. I don't think that you can speak to the dead or have any interaction with them. And the reason I believe that is because my background is biblical. And the Bible specifically says that God says you cannot speak to the dead because their consciousness, their thoughts, their ambitions, everything that is with them dies with them. And I'm open to hearing other people's opinions. I'm not here to try to change your mind. I'm just here to get information. And because I'm kind of curious too, there's things that don't make sense to me, even with the biblical perspective.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. So there's a lot that's not explained.
Humans on Earth, there's a lot we don't know. We don't even know what's on the bottom of the ocean or what's in space. So we don't understand it. It can't exist. I don't believe that. I think there's races everywhere, all over the universe.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them yet, but I've dreamed about them a lot. So I think they'll come around soon, hopefully.
Interesting. Yeah. Garth and I always have disagreement too, because he had an experience where this thing appeared over his bed and hovered over him, and he said it looked like a cowboy in a plaid shirt and jeans. And up where we are right now, I have two homes. This home that I'm at I'm almost at Flagstaff, and this is where Garth is located. He's my next door neighbor here, and we just started talking about it. And that's how the podcast formed. We started doing things together and talking about this stuff. And he was saying that when this guy was hovering over him, it scared him to death, and the guy was kind of like bothering him. He didn't seem to have a good purpose. And he said when he opened his eyes another time one night, it was sitting on his chest, but he could actually feel no pressure. And then he said he took a swing at it, and his hand went through it like it was just air. And he said the image of the person distorted wherever he punched.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, very interesting. So I've never seen a ghost myself or a spirit to my knowledge. I have witnessed UFOs. And up here where we are, I saw one here off of my property. It wasn't over my property, but it appeared to me as if it were spirit material and not something solid.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what these things are. I think they're all related. What's your thought on that?
There's a lot, like I said, we don't know. And I think there's other races, other dimensions. There's angels, there's spirits. There's all kinds of things that we haven't figured out yet. So who knows?
Yeah. You said your family has messages from him or indications that he's been there. What kind of things or signs have you seen?
He loves to turn on lights. I'll walk in the house, all the lights will turn on. He had a very specific knock that he did, and I showed it, freaked out. She goes, "That's your dad's knock." And I said, "I told you." I've had other friends that have died come to me in dreams, and I've seen them. I sort of have what I call an internal GPS system. Like if I have a feeling or an inclination to go in a certain direction, it always leads me to something interesting.
My wife has kind of a way with that. She'll find some bargain or deal, or it'll be right there in front of me and I don't even see it. And she'll say, "Look, this is what you were looking for."
It's all about trusting your instincts and going with it.
Yeah, I've learned to trust mine. Whenever something happens, I go with it. I don't even second guess it.
Well, I would love to see a UFO. I haven't yet, but I dream about them all the time. So I think they'll be coming around, hopefully.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people that have seen them.
I'm very wary because of my background and the way I've been raised biblically. The Bible does say that God has created other worlds. Now, whether that means other races of beings, I can't say. I know that worlds can mean planets or physical places. It doesn't necessarily mean people or beings. The only races of beings that I've ever read about were angelic and human. Those are the two that I'm aware of. But could there be others? I suppose. And like Carl Sagan said, if we have all these billions and billions of galaxies with millions of planets and stars, it would be an awful waste of space.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know. I have not seen any evidence of anything else, and I do know that originally we were supposed to last forever. We were not supposed to die. So with that in mind, maybe that's what the Creator had in mind for us to go out and populate all the rest of these solar systems. But we failed miserably.
Yeah, I think it's kind of sad that humans can't even take care of each other, or prevent war, or keep people fed and housed. It's kind of silly.
Yeah, and we have the means to do it.
Yes, we do.
So it started with that apparition after your father passed away. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he shook me, like he physically shook me, and then I saw him. And then he loves to turn on the lights. He'll drop me a dime all the time. I always find dimes, like in the house or outside my truck. It's really weird.
He used to give them
Just
to you
little
when you were
things.
young?
No, yeah, actually he did give me money, yeah. He did that a lot, now that I think about it.
So, yeah, I talked to a guy yesterday that called the show, and we did an interview. He said that he would get knocks on the garage wall, and he felt that it was demonic. He was being bothered by it. He didn't ask for it. He asked him to leave, and it wasn't until he dropped the name of Jesus that it left.
Huh. Well, I know it's my dad, so I'm not scared.
Okay. So others have witnessed things too?
Oh, yeah. I would tell my brother and his kids about these lights going on, and they just were in shock and awe. And they say that happens to us too all the time. It's so weird. But they don't believe it's my dad. I think it's a shame.
Well, you know what bothers me about ghosts is if they're really people that you love and care about, why does it take a flip of a light switch to get your attention? Why don't they just communicate?
Well, they're not all people you love. Like that cowboy at your neighbor's, that's probably just a cowboy that died there that used to live there. Or it could be his great-grandfather that wished you knew him. You never know.
Yeah, but why make little tricks, and why flip light switches and knock on walls? Why not just appear and speak?
Oh, I don't know.
Don't you find that a little weird?
I've read that it's hard for them to come to our level. I've heard about it likening to us swimming to the bottom of a pool. It'd be hard for us to go down and do that much.
And stay there?
That's what I've heard, because I like to follow well-known reputable psychics and channelers, and they've said that spirit is like that. It's hard for them to come down to our level. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm no expert, but that's what I've heard. Maybe it's hard for them to come and appear. But I've known people that's happened to, like my mother's best friend. This was years ago. I was a kid. The mother, her son had died, and she was depressed. She went up to their cabin at Mormon Lake, and he came to her and sat and had a long conversation with her after he was dead.
Wow.
And I'm sure a lot of people don't believe her, but I believe her because I'm just kind of used to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with it from the biblical perspective either. And what it says about that is that demons can take any shape or form, and they can appear as anyone you know with using their voice, because they've been here forever. And
Could be, but if they talk to you about being your family and, you know, the love and the connection, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a demon. I'm spiritual. I believe in God with all my heart, but I never got into the Bible or church myself.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a church thumper, because I think the church gets a lot wrong. But
I do too.
But I do believe the Bible is the written word of God, and that's my basis. I mean, I have nothing else to go on other than that, because I don't know these things firsthand. I hear stories from friends and family, and I'm just saying that, you know, I've done a lot of reading. I've done reading from psychics. I've talked to people that have run seances and whatnot, and I am really not a fan of that stuff. I think it opens a doorway to a lot of evil.
It does, I believe. I would never play with a Ouija board or just have a seance and not know what you're doing. Yeah, I agree with you there.
See, to me, the Ouija board and the seances are just an excuse and a permission slip for you to open a door to someone who wants to come in. And I believe in demonic possession, and that's how it gets started a lot of times. And curses, according to the Bible, can go down several generations in a family. So some spirit or some infected, I call it infected, object, like a cursed object, can be passed down from family to family and stay with your home or wherever you move if you take it with you. So there's a lot of things that there was Father Malachi Martin did a lot of demonic
exorcism.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Exorcism. And he would say that things sometimes are attached to objects or places. Like we see a lot of castles that are haunted and rooms at certain places. And he's not sure why that is himself. But I read his book, and it was fascinating. It just gave me a different perspective that I had ever witnessed before. Yeah,
I'm not going to hang around any cemetery.
Yeah, it seems that that is a place of a lot of hauntings too, you know. Do you know if anyone in your family, immediate family, or maybe a generation before yours, was into spiritism or tarot cards or anything like that?
Funny, my father died when I was 5. I said, my brother said that my grandmother claimed to be a fortune teller. And it's funny because growing up, I would do or say something and it would spook my mother out. And she would say, "You are exactly like your grandmother." So that's kind of cool. So I guess she was psychic.
Yeah, I have an aunt, or actually a great aunt that was. She would actually have people come into her home and she'd do readings. And I talked to her about that. I was very young at the time. I was probably 10 years old the last time I saw her, maybe 12. And I didn't really get much into it, but I knew that people would come to her and ask her questions, and they would give her money, and she didn't want to take it, but they made her. But she was a wheelchair-bound lady. She was diabetic and had neuropathy in her legs and couldn't walk, but she
Wow.
always had people come in to her.
That's awesome.
I don't know. I find it scary. I just think
Well,
it's
it is scary because it's the unknown.
I think it's one of those doorways, and that's why I avoid that like the plague.
I hear you, but there is good and bad, and if you stay with the good and keep protected, I believe it's possible.
Yeah, the only thing I'm afraid of is that you can be fooled for a while, and I think that's how demons work. I think they fool you and make you think you're talking to your dearly departed one until they get your trust, and you start following their advice, and then pretty soon you're asking them for advice, and they're giving you stuff from the other side. And that's maybe not necessarily a good thing.
I hear you.
You know, they get your trust by saying, hey, you want to find your lost watch you've been looking for months? Here it is. Go find it here. I can tell you my aunt, she did have some sort of knack for this. And there was a death in my family. My uncle liked to hunt with his brothers. And this was in Michigan, up like in the Upper Peninsula. And they would go hunting and they wouldn't come back for a few days. And one uncle was fairly wealthy and he had a lot of snowmobiles. So he'd buy extra ones and go up there with his brothers and let them ride his extra snowmobiles. So they go out to this pasture and they'd camp and wait for the deer. And then they would split up and sometimes go on day hunts by themselves. And he ended up missing. And my aunt started crying one day, and the ladies would, stay at one house while the guys were hunting. And she said, "So-and-so is dead. He died last night." And they said, "No, he couldn't be." And she said, "No, he's passed on. And I can see him. He's near this open field under a tree. His his rifle is up against the tree, and he's covered in snow. They're going to have to uncover him." And so everybody's face kind of went white, and they ended up finding him exactly where she said.
Yep, some people do that.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how
That's
I feel
cool.
about that.
I think it's awesome.
Have you ever gotten any impression or found something that was lost or gotten a message that...
Oh, yeah.
Because you were saying
Oh,
something
yeah.
about
I always
intuition.
pay attention to my instincts. I used to be in Arizona Paranormal Investigations, and when we would go to places, I would do my little thing where I'd open up my third eye and I sort of picture and I can see things, and I always led us to something very interesting, and they would always question me and say, "Wow, how did you know where that was?" Or I just see things. And I think it's really cool.
I think I was talking to a police investigator one time that said he had used some psychics, and he said, "I didn't used to believe in it, but he said, I contact them once in a while so that I can find a little more detail, and sometimes they give me some stuff." And he said, it kind of makes you wonder sometimes. Your inner sense goes, was this person a part of the murder because they know all about this stuff? And that's, I think, a danger for anyone that's got that ability.
See, people think that this is all crazy and cuckoo, and everyone that really knows me thinks that, but a lot of people that really, really know me totally understand the way I am. And
I don't think anybody's crazy that has abilities. I'm just not sure.
Well, if you go to a bar and you start saying, "I saw ghosts," a lot of people will.
Yeah, I can.
Believe me, I'm used to it.
Well, when I was probably 8 years old playing baseball, and I first mentioned that I believed in UFOs. I'd never seen one at that point, but I'd done a lot of reading. And because a neighbor of mine told me that he knew some high-up official at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base back in the 40s, he said this guy saw these aliens come in from a crash, and he said it was from
There's
Roswell.
tens of thousands of documented cases about that, yes. Have you ever heard of Dr. Stephen Greer?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I've watched a lot of his videos and never read any of his books.
There's your evidence right there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of folks. I mean, and then that's when it started with me. I was probably 8 or 10 years old. And then I heard about, of course, the Eric von Däniken thing came out with the Chariots of the Gods. And you wonder, this stuff is going all the way back to ancient times when there's been visitation by apparently alien visitors.
Yeah.
So there's something to it. We just don't know what.
Yeah, I think the government tries to cover it up and keep us dumb and not know. I don't know why.
Well,
but that's what I believe.
My only theory about that is I think you're right. And I think they do it because they're afraid to admit they don't know what this stuff is. And if they don't know what it is,
Yes.
and it's out there flying around over us and watching us, it's kind of unnerving.
Yeah, I agree.
But there is a spiritual world that most of us, well, I'd say I don't include you and me in this group, but most of us as a people don't understand exists. There's something out there. And that UFO thing.
Oh, there's lots of things out there.
Yeah, that UFO thing I saw was, it looked like it was a perfect sphere. It was floating above trees, just over tree level. And if I had to guess how big it was, I'd say it was probably the size of one of those exercise balls that people use.
Wow.
And it was just, the inside of it was lit from the inside. It was red as bright red could be, and it was glowing, and the inside looked like something was swirling inside it, like a plasma or just like
wow,
stirring a paint can. You know, when you stir one paint into another and you swirl it around, that's kind of what it looked like.
That is so cool.
And it lasted for maybe 20 or 30 seconds. And my brother-in-law noticed it. He said, hey, we were sitting around a campfire up here, because up here you can see the Milky Way at night. There's no light. And it's beautiful up here. And you hear the coyotes howling. And we were just sitting around there roasting marshmallows and talking. And he goes, hey, Chris, what's that? And I said, what? He said, that. And he points past my house. So I looked behind me and I said, oh my gosh, I don't know what that is. So we watched it, and he said it was bright orange. By the time I saw it, it was fire truck red. And my wife saw it.
That's cool.
My sister-in-law saw it, and my son saw it. And then it vanished. I didn't see it go away. I was turned talking to somebody else, and when I looked back, it was just gone.
Wow, that's amazing. I hope I get to see something like that.
Yeah, and I didn't have any weird feeling about it. I just thought, well, there's an object there. What is it? And I still can't explain it. And when I talk to some of the other people that live around here, and they say, well, we see things every once in a while, but usually farther away than that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very unique things. I never thought I'd see one in my lifetime, but I certainly can't explain that.
I think I will. I dream about them all the time. I've never seen the craft, but I see them in dreams all the time, and I've had a lot of dreams that eventually have happened, so I think I'll see some.
Do you have lucid dreams where it appears very real to you?
Oh, yes.
I can't remember the last dream I had, to be honest. I wake up and I forget.
Yeah, I dream a lot. I have a lot of dreams where I go to the same places, and then sometimes later I'll see them. That's kind of strange. So I know if I go to places a lot in my dreams that they exist, and eventually I'll find them, maybe, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. You just reminded me of something. I hadn't thought about it in a long time. When I was a young man, I was riding with my dad, and he goes, do you want to see the place where I was born? I said, yeah. So the whole family was with us, and we were driving across this little wooden bridge in Pennsylvania over to this place. He said, we call this place Coney Island. I said, oh, really? He said, it's not an island, but he said, well, it's kind of like one because you have to drive across this little river to get there. So it was a handmade wood-hewn bridge that had been there for probably 70 years. And we drive across this. I said, I know this place. And he goes, no, you don't. You've never been here before. I said, well, you go in the kitchen, and off to the left is the bathroom, and straight through is the living room, and off to the right is a bedroom. He goes, yeah, I think that's right. And when I got there, I got this weird feeling of deja vu. Like I've been there
you
before.
see things too. That's the way I see things.
But that happened to me one time, and that's all I can remember. But my dad was tied to it, which is kind of weird. He was actually born.
Yeah, it happens to me sometimes.
Yeah. I just don't know why we get these impressions and where they come from. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about or to mention regarding ghosts?
No, maybe next time.
Okay.
I'm going to have to get going.
Yeah.
But I would love to chat again.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you.
Well, keep in touch.
Yes, please. And if you have any other experiences or psychic things that happen, let us know, and we'd love to have you part of the show.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And next time, I think Garth will be here with us. All right, well, you take care and stay in touch.
All right, you're in my phone, yeah.
All right, terrific. Have a good one now.
Okay.